And welcome to Entertechment. This is Entertechment show number 198, recorded on Sunday, September the 28th, 2014. On the show, we have Joe Macer. Hello, Joe.
Hello.
And where's Care? We do not
He's
know.
cricket. He's missing in action this
Oh
week.
man, that's a shame too, because I know he would have had tons to say about our first topic, our kickoff question, if you will. And how many cons have you gone to, Joe? Like conventions?
Oh well, like actual cons or just a convention. I
Well,
went or video gaming,
let's
or
go.
like
Let's
work
go.
conventions.
Comic book convention. Trade
Zero
shows don't
actually.
count. Is there a lot of cosplay at trade shows?
No, no. Really. See some. Yeah, No, there's not.
There's not. You know what?
I did go.
That
What?
could be the new thing. We could like cosplay like home improvement characters at trade shows, like Tim the Toolman Taylor
Tim the Toolman. Yeah, you could do that.
or his neighbor Wilson. Do you think that's too old though? People
You
wouldn't
might date
remember
yourself
it.
now.
Yeah,
We're dangerously close to dating ourselves on things like that.
almost. I think that should be the new thing for trade shows. Start doing like comic book and anime cosplay.
Well, they definitely need something because a lot of times, the ones that I've been to, it's like, well, here's the deal. If you've got a really cool product,
Uh huh.
you know, okay, people will stop by. But a lot of those guys, you just have. Sometimes I walk by and I was like, oh man, I could not sell that product. I would just be like,
The poor guy who has to sit there for 9, 10, 11 hours a day in that pipe
Yeah.
and drape booth.
yeah, and you're just like, oh, and you're selling one kind of thing, and I'm just like, oh, I couldn't do that, And then there's other guys. I think like, it'd be like DeWalt, or you're selling really cool tools, or you're
Uh-huh.
selling Lincoln Electric, or some kind of brand that you're like, yeah, this is the stuff.
This
That would be cool.
Do they have a like hands-on area where you actually get to use the equipment on the trade show floor?
Some of them, but it's not.
Like, hey, you're gonna build a fence.
You're not going to do anything like that's going to generally start a fire.
Oh, okay.
But there was a weed trimmer one they had where they had like this AstroTurf, and they had a little weed trimmer. It was electric. 'Cause
Really?
you could use it and see how much power it had, so you get to chew up the little turf thing. So they had that. There was a one. Actually, I'll take my first statement back, because there was one a couple years ago that had like a little plasma cutting thing that they were doing, and they had behind a little dark glass, and they were just
Ooh,
sitting there.
little plasma
It was like
torch.
house, kind of a garage plasma cutter.
Huh.
Not like I just kind of for small jobs and stuff. And I thought that was cool, but it was pretty expensive, and I think I only saw that one once. So yeah, sometimes you see stuff and you're like, well, that's pretty cool. But a lot of times it's same stuff over and over, and yeah, it just gets. And if it's not something you have a passion for or you care about, then it's
Right.
really tough to go down and
Yeah.
look at things. But yeah,
But you think maybe even at the booth, if they had cosplay characters there
yeah,
at the booth,
do something fun.
something different.
The most interest. Well, I guess I did go to CES quite a few years ago, though. This is way back when.
Okay.
This was back when Apple, before iPod and all that stuff, and that
Oh,
was
wow.
really cool because there
During
was just
during the era of beige PCs.
there was so many interesting things to do, and my friend actually worked for Bill Gates at that time, so
Okay.
we got to go see a lot of different things and demo new stuff coming out. And they demoed. There was a tablet thing they were demoing way back when, but it never caught on or anything. So
Oh,
there was
wow.
lots of cool stuff back then. I remember that. I think that was the first time I saw VMware when it was in like its infancy and
Okay.
that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of stuff there, and then other I did go to an role playing game convention, but that was like in college, and it was lame.
Boise is supposed to be having its what is it, TreeCon or Boise TreeCon comic book convention here in the next couple
I
of
don't know.
weeks.
You know what I'd really like to go to is a maker fair, like the World
Ooh,
Maker
okay.
Fair, or something like that. I think that would be really fun. That would be cool.
That would seem. I would think that would, if any trade show, that would be able to merge, trade show, Comic Con, those two worlds, because you're using a lot of industrial tools, be it 3D printers or whatever. I think it should be sponsored by Dremel, and You could blend those two worlds together. So Denise Dorman, the name might not jump out at you right
No.
off, but if I said the words Dave Dorman, even still, some people he might not have that name recognition. But if I then said to you Star Wars movie posters, Dave Dorman
Hmm.
is the artist who's done all the Star Wars. Well, he's done Indiana Jones, Star Wars for the
Wow.
actual
Okay.
theatrical posters. So he's the artist who does Back to the Future. He did the Back to the
Okay.
Future posters.
Sweet.
So he's an artist extraordinaire. His wife Denise goes to a lot of these comic book conventions, to sell their wares, to sell their lithographs, their posters. And she wrote a little article for the bleedingcool.com website about the current state of comic book conventions and
Mm-hmm.
how cosplay is kind of ruining something that's been embraced so much by the comic book conventions. It may be the poison pill that kills comic book conventions. Here's her argument.
Okay.
As a vendor, she goes and she has to, make a living.
Just to pay money for the booth.
You have to pay money for the booth, for the space, your time
Mm-hmm.
that you're there. It's usually a 3-day convention, so your time there. Um, and then people who are cosplaying tend to take attention away from the vendors who are
Uh-huh.
there. People want to get pictures with these cosplayers, and so they either bunch up in front of the booths to take pictures. And of course, if you have a cosplayer, if you want to be authentic cosplaying, not too many Star Wars Stormtrooper cosplays or Diablo cosplays come with money pockets, and so you're not really there to buy things. You're just there to be seen.
Hmm.
And so she makes it. At first, I thought when she said cosplay killing Comic Con, I'm thinking to myself, well, one of the purposes of these comic book conventions is so it's like Halloween. It's like the average person can dress up as a video game or comic book character, movie character, and kind of get to have that Halloween experience of trick or treating, walking around and being seen. And so that's something that over the last 5 years has really exploded on the comic book convention scene. And now to have somebody who is in the business, who is there to do business, come out and say this might be hurting the
That's
comic book conventions.
that's kind of a double-edged sword, though, because how many people, those are still paying people that come to the convention.
Yeah.
Whether or not they have.
They walk through the door, they pay the convention money, but are
Yeah.
they there to, buy wares from vendors?
I don't know, but I just say be careful because you may have other people that come just to gawk at the cosplayers, and they may be customers too.
Yeah.
I mean, the
And
more, the better. But
right. And one
that's
one thing
just
I think that you have to keep in perspective too, and I believe me, I love Dave Dorman's work. In fact, I've got one over here. If I could, grab the camera and show you, I've got one hanging up here on my wall. I have multiple pieces of his work, and if he was attending a comic book convention nearby, I would definitely go there and seek him out to buy something from him, or to pay to have him sign something of mine. But how much of your product is actually in demand by the people who are visiting the convention?
hmm
I can
well, that's
understand if you're an author and you have a book and nobody likes your book, it'll be easy to complain. Well, I'm not making money at conventions. Supply and demand.
yep.
So, but I thought it was kind of interesting because I think that Denise, Dave's wife, has a unique perspective as somebody who sits there for hours and hours
Yeah.
and hours, spends days, and when her husband's there, he can't be in his studio making, working, or if it's an author, they're taking 3 days out of their, that's why
Well,
it really is intriguing to me that somebody like Brandon Peterson,
hmm
who obviously writes while he's sleeping because he cranks out so many books, to have him take 3 days out of his writing schedule to attend a convention to sign books, and maybe he'll sell a few, but so she, if anybody has a unique perspective, she does. But just knowing from the couple of comic book conventions I've gone to, it gets it's kind of cool to have these people who are obviously fans of the cosplay genre, who go all out, and however much money they spend making their whatever it is, their costume, whatever it is that they're doing, to take the time to be able to do that. I really appreciate that, and I can, it's like, oh man, look at that, that's a really cool suit, or that's a really good costume, oh, that's really good. But and I think it would behoove whatever convention is going on to have, it's like having free entertainment. It's like something that the convention doesn't have to pay for. In fact, they get paid for these people to come in. So why would they say no and say, nope, nobody dress up, nobody dress up?
Yeah, from a convention running standpoint, I mean, it's just another draw that it's free and they don't have to manage or do anything. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the only thing they have to manage is the weapons check.
Yes. Yeah, does that blaster really work? Let me see that sword.
I don't see an orange tip on that blaster there, sir.
What's going on? So, yeah, but the other part with shows are, I kind of hesitate to say, but is the show the place anymore to put your wares out?
Yeah.
With the internet, you can be out all the time, everywhere. I mean, right. You can have a site where people can get your art and get your stuff anytime.
If you focus on that. But I think there's something really cool about meeting the person who's created whatever work of art you enjoy, and then being able to tell them. When I talked to Michael Stackpole about, I was just gushing over him like a schoolgirl, saying, thank you for BattleTech.
You are so cool.
Yeah. And in the process of the conversation, it started with BattleTech, but then he was wearing I think it was a Imperial insignia on his shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And turns out he is a huge Star Wars fan. And so we started talking about Star Wars. And so to be able to have that type of connection is something that, unless you're stalking them on the internet, you don't really have.
Yeah. I think there's really, I don't know, I think there's really a couple different types of customers there. If you're a fan and you're showing up there to look for art and comic books and stuff, you're going to look at that stuff, whether there's cosplay people there or not.
Yeah, you're going to seek it out.
They may get your attention, but you're going to be like, yeah, let's go look for some, this is cool. This is there. I just don't. And then there's people that probably are just going to come there just for the cosplay and just to get pictures and stuff. But those people probably weren't your customers anyway.
And
but
who knows,
either way,
if they walk by your booth and something catches their eye, they might become customers.
Yeah, so
that's probably pretty minimal.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's a double-edged sword. I mean, you can't just you're going to have stuff like that.
It'll be interesting to see if maybe these cosplay conventions start just having their own conventions.
Mm-hmm.
If they become as popular as just the generic comic book convention.
Yeah. See, to me, I would rather go. I'd go for all the comic book and stuff, comic books and the art and all that kind of thing, and I'd love to go one of these days. I got to make time to do it. But the cosplay is just an added benefit. It's just cool to see. Oh, who's that person dressed up as? Oh, that's neat.
There was for the it was Salt Lake Comic Con last year that there was a Kerrigan costume from StarCraft II, Queen of Blades, that was totally awesome. But she was stationed at a particular booth. She wasn't like walking around because there are lots of blades,
Well, that's the thing they used to do at CES, and once again, I'm not sure if I should say this, but one of the things that they had right down the road, they had the Consumer Electronics Show, was they had Adultex.
Okay, going on at the same time.
Going on at the same time.
Coincidence?
But they would hire these adult film stars to be in their booth because they know there's a bunch of young geeky guys running around. It's
98% skewing male.
Yep, it's bait to get them in the booth, and once you're in the booth, you say
it becomes the salesperson job to close the deal.
They quickly just because there's this really hot girl, and it's like, hey, can you tell me about this new hard drive thing? And then, hey, I'll get to talk to her about hard drives, and she's like, oh, here, I'll get so and so to talk to you about it. Like,
oh, they jingled the car keys in front of me.
Yeah, that's exactly what So, but that was like, crap, 15 years ago.
Wow,
it might have been more than 15 years ago. I'm afraid to say, but it was a while ago.
Oh wow.
It was back when it was the thing.
Yeah.
It was the deal. And I only went once because it was like, okay, I didn't really find anything that really pertained to work or anything. If I went again, it'd be just for fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's lots of conventions I'd like to go to. It's just
the time.
Time. Yep.
Time and logistics.
Yep.
So this is huge, huge news coming out of Blizzard. Of course, they've got BlizzCon coming up here in the next few weeks. But this is something that we've talked about here on the show in the past, and this whole Titan game that they've been working on for 7 years now, $50 million, and this week they came out and said, yeah, we're not going to do it. Now, any other video game company would probably fold it if they sunk $50 million into a product and decided not to release it. But this is Blizzard. Blizzard, they're in the business of printing money.
Yes.
But
Well, I think that's a smart move, though, because, okay, you sink 50, but if it says right here in the article, we couldn't find the passion, we couldn't find the fun. If
Yeah.
you don't think it's fun and you're putting it out, no one else is.
people who are
Now
playing it will not find it fun.
You can only scale up so often and dump so much more money into it before you go, okay. I mean, they could have dumped $250 million into
Yeah.
it. Remember Ghost? There was the
Oh,
Ghost
yeah.
thing that never came out.
Yep.
And StarCraft 2, I got to imagine, is a hit, and StarCraft 3, or not, StarCraft 2 Part 3, whenever that
Yeah.
comes out, will be a hit. So I don't think that's a wrong decision, but I've seen how much software have we seen that comes to finally is put out and it's just crap, and
Yeah.
you're like, wow,
And it's like, this is horrible.
yeah,
There's a particular game I won't call it out just because I don't think it's fair to call it out. Batman Origins. That I actually had to go in and code the game in order to make it work because there was an error. There was a game-killing error in it, and so it's like, what do I do? Well, I went online and started researching and said, okay, you got to put this code into here and do this and write this, and then the game will work for you. And it's like that's crazy that we have to do that in order just to get a game that we paid $60 for to get it to work.
yeah. And this is not, the game community's not alone. I've seen tons of projects where companies have dumped millions of dollars into software projects and then just scrapped them a few years later, or it just never works.
Yeah.
It's just.
But this is Blizzard. I mean, Blizzard has such a fan base, and I know that they have the reputation of we're not going to release something until we get it the way we want it. But there was it Warcraft Adventures, which had a little comic book vibe to it. There was Ghost, and now Titan. But here's what I want. I want to know what Titan was. I mean, we knew with StarCraft Ghost that it was, okay, it's going to be a first-person shooter. It's going to be set in the StarCraft world. With Warcraft Adventures, yeah, it takes place in the Warcraft world. We have no clue as to what Titan was. Was it an MMO? Was it science fiction? Was it, Vikings?
There needs to be another groundbreaking MMO which puts everything on its side. Because basically, when you break them down, it's the same thing over and over again. You're grinding to get levels. You're doing this. You hit the get level cap, and then it's like, all right, okay,
Wait
now
for the next expansion.
wait for the next expansion, more gear. You get the best gear in the world, and the next expansion comes out. Now your gear isn't so good anymore.
Yeah.
You start all over again. You hit the level cap, you get bored.
Yeah.
What's the solution? And then this is no different. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons was the same thing. It's grade inflation. It's like, okay.
Yep.
You want to get to level 10 so you can fight the monsters so you can get to level 12,
So you can get the better gear to fight the better monsters, to
It's the
find the loot cave.
Eric the Viking, the only reason for the expedition, or the looting and raping, was to pay for the next expedition.
Yes.
But that's a circular argument.
Yes. But, if it was anybody else, that game company would have folded. But thank goodness it was Blizzard. But I just don't know if there's ever going to be any explanation. I'd like to see a documentary chronicling the 7 years of making this game, and then have a camera there in the boardroom as they tell everybody, thanks for working on this game for 7 years, but we're not going to release it. That would just be heartbreaking.
It's never easy to make the hard decision, but they've got World of Warcraft, and they got StarCraft, and they got Diablo. I mean, 3 franchises which just absolutely rock. And to come out with one, it's like Pixar coming out with a crappy movie. You don't want to bring down your score.
Exactly. Or Marvel right now.
Yeah.
Marvel can't fail. If you watch Saturday Night Live, with Chris Pratt. They did a Marvel trailer
Oh, did they?
where they just said we're just doing random things and putting them together, and we're gonna make $3 billion off this movie. One was called Shopping Carts, and they just have shopping carts rolling down, and yeah, cannot fail. Cannot fail at this point. While we're on Blizzard, we have BlizzCon coming up. The new you watched the trailer for Dreadmore?
No.
What?
What's Dreadmore?
The new expansion for World of
Oh,
Warcraft?
for World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I didn't recognize the name. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm a little out of it right now. I took some cough syrup before we started the show.
a little
Just like to take
night
some
cold
action
during the
shots of you
daytime
while I
and day
drive.
cold during the nighttime. I got it mixed up. So yeah, that trailer, and of course we all are in agreement that Blizzard is the king of making game trailers and cutscenes. That was just beautiful. And then hopefully at BlizzCon we'll have some details about the final StarCraft 2 expansion. That would be nice.
I would like to see that because I'm about played out. I've started modding the game and making myself more powerful, and then I had to make the monsters more powerful, and then you're back in the same thing
Another
again.
ex-
It's like,
uh,
I want to make it just powerful enough that I can hold out against everything completely insane.
completely
hold the line.
insane.
Yeah.
Hold the line.
Don't give up.
Yeah. Oh man. But I'm getting antsy for. I think there's two things that I'm really getting antsy for right now. One, of course, is the new StarCraft 2 expansion set.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm like you. It's about time. We've been playing
It's
Heart of the
about
Swarm. We've been playing Heart of the Swarm for so long, and like you said, we're getting into the modding phase of it. Now we need something new. We need new units. We need new powers, new buffs, new debuffs. Another thing that really hit me this week, and I don't know why it's this week, is the new Star Wars movie. I've been seeing, I really honestly tried. I put out an effort not to read anything, not to see anything, keep myself nice and
Good
pure
luck.
going into next year's movie, and that lasted about a day. and now I'm just starting to get like a kid with a bunch of pixie sticks. I'm getting the shakes because I want to see the movie so bad. There was an image that came out this week of the new Chrome Troopers. That
I
had
saw that.
they had the hood on and everything that looked just so BA.
Except they still can't hit anything.
I
But
don't
they
know.
look
I think
really
they're gonna.
cool.
I think they're gonna retcon that, and I think they're gonna make these
These are
Chrome
sharpshooters.
Troopers exactly like stormtrooper snipers. And so that one image, and then there was another. There was a artist's rendition or concept art that showed two people dueling with lightsabers with the Millennium Falcon in the background, and it was a piece of concept art for the movie.
Did the Batmobile drop off the back?
You did not. That'd be awesome. All of a sudden, a bat pod would start shooting out of the Falcon. That
Chewie,
was
get the
that was a
tumbler.
great video, and that was another thing too. Watch that video, and you hear the music, and you see the slow swoop in, and Gotham.
Seeing all the detail on the sides. It's like when they first did Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And they
Flying
took
into the Enterprise.
fly around it because the
15
first time
minutes.
and everybody else is like, oh my god, this is so boring, and all the Trekkies
We're
are
like, ha!
it's close up, we get to see, because before
Yeah.
it's like, go by fast, you can't see
Yep.
any detail, 'cause you'll
then
realize
you
it's
saw-
fake.
Yeah, and it was exactly like that. And then talking to some of my Star Wars friends here in town about the plans to kick off the 1 year countdown coming up in this December. So they're going to
Start
do
camping.
start camping out. Our local theater is building a giant theater. It's not an
Just for Star
technically.
Wars.
Well, it'll open in time for Star Wars next year.
Cool.
It's not technically an IMAX. It is a different brand. It's almost as big as an IMAX. It's one screen, 400 seats, I think. Leather plush seats and everything. And so we're talking about that and the new theater and what it's going to be like seeing this new movie on the big screen, and all the excitement. And now I'm starting to get that anticipation and starting to get really excited. Read the new Rebels book.
Is it going to be the same as the cartoon?
It
the
takes
same?
place before the cartoon.
Okay.
With a couple of the main characters from the cartoon series. And so that's getting me, ready for this new Rebels series. And so, Disney, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they've
They
got
know.
they've got resources.
And it's nice as much as people say, "Oh man, it's a corporate buyout," Disney's so corporate.
Yes,
Like,
but
yeah,
they're
but
doing something with
look what
it.
they're giving us.
They're
Look what
doing.
they're giving us.
I mean, Lucas, God bless George Lucas for making
God rest
Star
his
Wars,
soul.
but but it's like forever. It's like we were just craving more and more stuff, and now we're
Yeah.
going to get all the things we wanted, all the spin-offs, all the other stuff, and
Be careful what you wish for.
that's right. As long as we don't get the holiday special again, I'll be pretty happy. But to see the movies after so long, and I think it's going to be cool.
I don't know what your feelings were when you watched Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, for the first time, and the end credits start rolling. But my feeling in the theater was, that's it. It's complete. It's done. This is all the Star Wars we're going to get. The story's been told.
Yep.
We may get some more action figures here pretty soon. We'll have the books and stuff. But
we were lucky to get that.
We had closure.
We had closure. We were lucky to get that, and I thought, all right, okay, it's done. Okay, it's over. And because way back then, it's like, okay, 9 movies. All right, when's the next 3? No, I'm not doing them. And then it's
like, oh, okay.
How many years later, and then the whispers of, remember the very first trailer that came out, for every story there's a beginning, and you're just like getting these chills, and you're like, oh my God, they're gonna redo, and now, and then the tease, and now it's just gonna be glutton.
Right. Now we're gonna get a Star Wars movie every year.
Yeah.
All the books and TV shows that are going to be coming out are all going to be part of the universe. They're going to be canon. What happens in the TV show could affect things in the movie, and vice versa. So now I think we've kicked off a universe where Star Wars will never end.
Oh no! I mean, it's part of the Disney. It's been brought in the house now. I mean, it's like Mickey Mouse.
There's going to be a whole theme park built just for Star Wars. So
and isn't that cool? Isn't it about time?
Time. 40 years later,
we're the old guys going through. I want to get on that tricycle. It's like because I didn't get to do it when I was 9.
I want to ride in the wagon.
That's right. Get out of here, kid! I was riding the Millennium Falcon if we were still in diapers.
Well, you were just a Padawan.
Yeah,
But I kind of hope that they don't. I don't know. I don't think there's going to be the appreciation from here on out of what Star Wars means to the cinematic universe, to people's lives growing up, because we only had 3 movies, and that was it. 3 movies and the holiday special.
We watched them over and
over and over.
They kept re-releasing it in the theater. I'll go see it again.
Yeah, imagine having a movie. I mean, there was Star Wars, there was a Star Wars series, and then there was Dances with Wolves that would play for a year straight in the theater. Yeah. And then Star Wars was re-released, and then re-released, and then released right before Empire came out.
In case you've forgotten, here's what happened.
Checking back in with our heroes.
Yeah.
So this was basically the new fall season TV kickoff week. Lots of TV shows had their season premieres. Some series had their series premiere. We talked about last week some of the most anticipated TV shows that we're looking forward to this year. The general consensus was we're all looking forward to Gotham, which is based in the Batman universe. So what are our impressions of Gotham?
Honestly, I was bored.
Okay.
And I felt, and I wasn't even going to watch it because I was just like, I'm going to wait and see how it's doing.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and I was bored, and when the scene came up where here comes the Waynes out of the theater, and oh my gosh, they're going to get shot. I was like, if I have to watch them get shot one more time, I'm going to get sick of this. And then I thought later, they did this wrong. They should have started completely from the perspective of Gordon. We got called out on a case.
Scanner.
They have no idea till they show up and start investigating, and there's this little kid over there, and he comes up, and then there's a reveal.
Yeah.
That would have been so much better than here it is, and we already know, and they showed off like almost every character in the first thing, and I'm like, it was too much, and it just, I don't know. I ended up being bored.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And it's hard because I like stuff like this. I want to like it, but I was just, yeah. So maybe it'll get better. It was only the first one, obviously.
Right. I think we all knew going into it that this is a Batman TV show without the Batman. And here's what needed to happen. It, like you said, it needed to be from the perspective of the police procedural.
What was your impression before you get started?
Okay, my impression was, you're right. There was too many people introduced. We had Penguin, we had Riddler, we had Poison Ivy, we had Catwoman, we had Fish Mooney. I mean, there's 5 bad guys. We had Falcone. You know, we had 6 major Batman universe characters from the villain side introduced in one 42-minute episode.
It was too much.
You know, it needed to start with just one. Start with Fish Mooney. Maybe next week introduce the Penguin. I mean, I kind of like how they introduced the Penguin, as he's just this little, you know, this little guy, and he's just a little thug, and things start happening to shape him. And I think that's the direction they're going into, the shaping of these villains, how they got to be the big, giant, evil players in the Gotham universe that they become eventually. But you're right. It needs to come from the Detective Jim Gordon's perspective. Him and Harvey Bullock. It needs to be a buddy cop TV show.
Yep.
And by the way, here are these fantastical characters that do whatever. But
the other thing that I didn't like, too, is that, and I think I stated this before, because you introduce these characters, we know their future.
Yeah, we know what they're going to become. So
there's no element of suspense when he goes out to the dock to shoot Penguin in the head.
Exactly. There's no threat.
There was, okay, well, I know he's not going to shoot him because he comes back
Penguin.
later.
Yeah.
He's Penguin. Yeah, that's not what happens to Penguin, unless we violate the canon. And if we do that, then okay, cool. Then I'm in, because now all bets are off.
Exactly. And they should have sacrificed one of those main characters.
That would have been a great start, because then you'd be like, wait a minute.
Hold on.
It's not supposed to
You
happen.
can't do that. That's right. There was one character that I thought they introduced, this kind of an Easter egg. A lot of people were commenting this after the show. The Joker.
That's what I thought too.
So the kid up there doing stand-up comedy, and because the camera lingered on him way too long.
Yes, it did. I agree.
And the camera had a shot of Fish Mooney, but he's there standing in the background, looking back at her. It's like, why is he in the frame? Why is he? What's the significance? Now,
and she's like, "Oh, you're so funny."
Yeah. Either he becomes the Joker, or maybe he becomes a character that inspires the Joker. But I think that character, that actor, is going to be linked to Joker somehow.
Yep.
But I'm gonna give it a couple more episodes, and
I'll try it again. I just was disappointed for the start.
Yeah.
Give me more on the start.
Exactly. Any other shows you watched this week that started up?
I said I was not going to watch the show.
Okay.
And then I sat down and watched it, and I actually enjoyed it.
What?
Was Scorpion.
What? Okay, so this is a show about a bunch of IT professionals.
Well, it's a bunch of very high IQ geniuses, basically.
Okay.
Think tank type guys, and they're hired by the government because these planes, software goes bad in the planes. They can't communicate with the planes, so the planes are going to crash unless they get somebody to get into it. And his team, the guy, it starts out like War Games, where the kid's 12 years old and he hacks into NASA, and all the armed gunmen show up at his place and everything.
He got swatted.
And 15 years later, he's got this little think tank with his guys, and they're all dysfunctional, but he kind of keeps them together. But he's he's one of these guys that has an IQ of 197.
Oh,
I mean, just absolutely
off the
charts.
Okay.
And the thing that makes it really interesting to me, the end of it was, I got to say, they got too far-fetched.
Really?
Yeah, because I was okay with it the way it was. They did not need to go over the top like they did at the end.
With a little action sequence there?
With the action sequence with the airline, I was like, all right, that's just
dropping
too much.
a Cat 5 cable out of a plane. Yeah. If you're that close to the ground where you're
just
right
land.
above, just land it. Just put it down.
But it's like, okay, you can get that close without crashing. That part just irritated me, but I liked most of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to get some chemistry between the characters, and I was like, okay, this could be cool. The other part behind it is how much of it is true.
Huh.
Because I watched it online on CBS. I didn't watch it the night it was out. And there's a bunch of behind the scenes. I mean, Walter O'Brien is a real guy. And if you look up his scorpioncomputerservices.com,
Yeah.
he has a company that does this. They've consulted all over the world doing all these different things.
Huh.
And he does have an IQ of 197. And
Okay.
this he goes into they interview him. This actually happened where they had this software glitch and they couldn't communicate with these planes.
Huh.
So they called him in to do this.
Did he
And
have to drive a Ferrari
he
underneath?
did not have obviously they took it this level go
and
beyond
Hollywoodized it.
that. To me that was just stupid because I was already liking most of the characters.
Well, in real life, you know how he fixed the problem. He just, updated the software.
Got in and did that. But I like the fact because they're interviewing him and he's talking about they couldn't get into the computer programs because the software was down. There was no way to Skype or remote or RDP or VNCN or whatever you needed to do. So they were able to get into the security camera system and look at the screen and kind of be able to see it. Well, they couldn't get the guys there to run the keyboards fast enough for them because they're old guys that like to do that. So he said, send somebody down to the concourse, find the hairiest, fattest kid you can in a heavy metal T-shirt, and send him up here. So they brought this kid. They found a kid down there. He had this heavy metal T-shirt. Brought him up, big kid, and he was a gamer. It turned out he knew exactly what they were talking about, and they were able to use him as their remote guy
Oh,
to
funny.
actually get in and get this stuff fixed. So a lot of interesting. That to me, that made the story that much more interesting. That there was actually some truth behind it.
One other fallacy I found with the TV show is
One.
that one. Where did they find 85 feet of Cat 5 cable in the plane?
Yes,
If I look around, 6 feet. That's all I got.
good luck finding that kind of. It was
Lots of 5 feet.
here's why like I said, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna watch this, but I watched it and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I like this character. I like this
And
character.
there was some entertainment value.
There was definitely entertainment value out of it. The overall premise was like, oh, okay, but there was just too many things that are like, okay, we didn't need to go that far. I so many times like, we can't be on the edge of the cliff. You've got to be hanging over the edge by a
pinky.
thumbnail with a flamethrower above him and a pit of lava below, and how many more things can we just
Throw at it.
throw at it to where this is not enough peril. We need more peril.
More peril. There's got to be more peril.
So and there's several there's definitely parts. There was a lot of parts where I was just like, oh, okay, that's just I'm just gonna let that go. I'm gonna push the I believe button or suspend my disbelief and keep on going. But I guess I don't know. I like the characters.
So here's the final question.
Uh-huh.
Gotham, Scorpion.
I enjoyed Scorpion more than I enjoyed Gotham, even though it was crazy stupid at the end.
Okay. Surprising.
Surprising.
Yeah.
And part of it, well, I'm predisposed. Oh, they're going to do these, these technical things, and they all. I don't know what to say, Ed. Other than I guess I liked it more than I liked Gotham. Can't help it.
So would you call it a more serious Big Bang Theory?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a dysfunctional Big Bang guy. But I used to like, what was that show? Leverage was kind of fun.
Yeah.
You put the eclectic group of people together. Although in this case, all of them except one are geniuses.
Huh.
I mean, it was predictable.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was about it. It was entertaining.
Okay.
So
Well,
yeah.
I guess I'm gonna have to check that out then. Got another thing I have to put on the DVR.
And like I said, I may never watch it again, but it was on. My wife wanted to watch it, so I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch it. But I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't so bad.
It wasn't so bad. I'm
So
not asking for my hour back.
Didn't suck so bad. The plane thing, I don't know why. I was just like, all right, whatever. I'm just like, there's.
No
I guess
way.
there's so many stupid things on TV that's like, all right, yep. Yeah, the plane's going to have to come within 8 feet and catch the Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Entertechment. You can catch us on our webpage, entertechment.com. But if you're looking, it's that. Well, I can't put the other way. There's the logo right there. You're almost over. You're over. Okay. There you go. Entertechment.com. You can find us on iTunes. You can download our episodes. You can also find us on Facebook and on Twitter and Stitcher as well. So, on behalf of Joe Macer and the MIA Care Ballantyne, I'm Matt Davenport, and that's a wrap.